What's up everybody, welcome to Money Management channel. My name is Andrei and today I'm gonna be doing an update on MMTLP and FINRA saga.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up.
And on today's video, guys, first of all, I will show you quite interesting due diligence from one of our community members. This due diligence leads to several questions that, in my opinion, needs to be answered. On top of that, guys, I will show you some statements from, let's say, another part of MMTLP community. And with these statements, you will better understand their point of view and their position in general. On top of that, I will show you some comments from Scott Roth in regards to his action and his actions and his progress in the litigation process. And at the end of this video, I will share some details about the lawsuits and the updates on these lawsuits that are still active right now. And before we dive deep into all of these, guys, please hit the like button for YouTube algorithm and drop me a line in the comment section if you think my videos are valuable for you. On top of that, if you want to know more about technical analysis, if you want to enhance your trading skills, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to join my Patreon account. And guys, I'm recording this part of the video on June 28th, and within less than a week I will close some of cheap member tiers. Let me show you just a sneak peek on the most recent call that I made just 2 days ago. You know that yesterday on Friday session on June 27th, Coinbase lost substantial amount of its value. And I made this set of posts the day before on Thursday. You can see it right here. It is June 26th, Thursday, June 26th of this year. And this top I got to the tick. I made it for my patrons, and the major sell-off happened the very next day on Friday. And guys, you can see that I made a perfect call, and it is not the only call that I made. You can find other similar achievements in the Patreon articles, and that is why, guys, if you want to be a part of this community, feel free to join my Patreon, because within next several days you will not have these lucrative prices. And let's begin with these couple of tweets that were written by RareDD and that were reposted by John Burda. RareDD wrote, "Why else do you halt something unless it was expected to trade?" Both MMTLP corporate actions informed the reader that positions needed to be settled by December the 12th of 2022. Investors didn't need to understand this. It was the fiduciary responsibility of the corporate action department of each brokerage to read and make sense of the corporate action. This is why we have multiple messages from brokerages informing their clients that after December the 8th of 2022, trading in MMTLP would be limited to position close only, closing transactions. There was no threat to unsuspecting investors seeking to open a new position in MMTLP after December the 8th, because there are no messages from brokerages informing clients that this would have been a possibility. The corporate action department of each brokerage likely read what FINRA included in both corporate actions that informed the reader that purchases of MMTLP executed after December the 8th would not be entitled to the distribution. Link to the video in the post, in the quote post below. Further evidence included in the post to follow. And he added again his video that he published just a week ago. And he added this: evidence, MMTLP, and even if there was a brokerage that somehow misunderstood that so-called positions needing to be settled by December the 12th meant that the last day to open a position in order to be settled in time for December the 12th of 2022. FINRA has the ability under their Rule 1189.3 to classify the transactions as erroneous and therefore reverse them. If FINRA believed there shouldn't have been a position close transactions after December the 8th, then they should have made this clear on December the 6th of 2022 or sooner. This appears to have been a deliberate act of misleading investors and the brokerages. And he added several screenshots of the conversations, of the statements from several broker-dealers in regards to the last day of trading. And we know that some broker-dealers and even the head of OTC markets, Jeff Mandel, stated this in the interview that the last day of trading is December the 12th. And guys, yes, these questions are still on the table, and I want to see a clarification from authorities in order to solve this puzzle and in order to remove all misunderstandings. And let me show you some interesting details in regards to the Rob Carter's invitation. So, again, if you don't know what does it mean, Rob Carter is the owner of Rob Carter show, where he is trying to help MMTLP community to solve the problem. And recently he invited several people who attended to his interview and who attended to his show and who made their statements about the MMTLP saga. But we have another side of MMTLP community, another part of MMTLP community who are not, let's put it this way, who disagree with these statements. And Rob Carter, as a real journalist, invited these people to his show, but for some reasons they didn't accept this invitation yet. No one of them didn't accept it, and they don't want to basically to say anything to cover their position, to cover their point of view. And you can see it right here that 12 hours ago he wrote this tweet in response to the Coyote with No Name. And the Coyote with No Name wrote, "There has been a resolution. They got their NBH share as promised in the S1. Rob getting really good at parroting the MMTLP talking points." Well, and Rob wrote this: "Would you be willing to come on and counter their talking points at 9 noon? No dog in the fight other than finding truth." And two MVP responded to this. "Rob, none of these shields will come on the show. This is how they work. Bash on X, but too scared to do it on your show. LOL." And Rob Carter asks this quite legitimate question. Fascinates me. Bots? And Rob, I have to admit that no, they are not bots, but it is also quite surprisingly for me that they don't want to attend to accept your invitation. And let me show you another quite interesting tweet, at this time from Richard Hoffman. He was he filed a lawsuit back in January of 2023, then he switched his lawsuit to arbitration, and then he cancelled his arbitration, and I covered this multiple times. And in response to this tweet that Rob Carter wrote 12 hours ago, the offer remains on the table. My show is about government accountability, political debate, and seeking reality. And Richard Hoffman wrote this: "As to MMTLP suit in state, federal and FINRA fully fair arbitration. If interested in background on this, please reach out. Thanks, not legal advice." So definitely, Richard knows a lot about the MMTLP story, and what is more importantly, he knows a lot from his point of view and from his experience, because he is an active lawyer, and well, he was a part of the litigation process against FINRA. And I have to admit that his interview might be quite interesting, and to be honest, I expect to see, well, the most important person in my opinion in this case is Greg McCabe. And we know that Samantha asked Rob to contact Greg McCabe and to invite him to this interview. Unfortunately, guys, at the same time, Rob didn't confirm and he didn't deny that he contacted Greg in order to invite him. And it is quite interesting, but we also have, well, wait a second, somewhere here, we also have a lot of other people who might be useful in our case. Samantha wrote this: "Did you ever get a hold of anyone at the company? Let me guess. No. What about everyone that used to work there? Let me guess." Again, she thinks that Rob didn't invite none of these people. And we know that there is a lot of people who worked for not for MMTLP, but for Next Bridge. And you can see that the majority of them, I would say almost all of them, resigned right after the merger happened. And this is another huge question mark, and to be honest guys, I prefer to see some clarifications on this matter as well. So let me switch to the several tweets that were written by Scott Trott. And just recently, basically, S1 Express, the person who is opposing the Scott Trott's opinion, wrote this: "So, Fishface, are you now saying that you want the S1 to go ahead?" And guys, it's quite interesting, but for me it was crystal clear that Scott wanted this from the very first day. And he wrote definitely this answer: "Of course I do. I never said I didn't. I just know that McCabe will never sign it because if he signs that, the wells have $45 million in oil, and we all know they don't, then the blue windbreakers grab him for securities fraud. That's why he won't sign, and why NBH is saying ignore all their old financials. Or at least most of them. It was a scam. Terrible, was no oil there. Exxon had been all over that area and the diamond back too, I think. Look at the well depths McCabe and Aspeth were drilling. They get anywhere near a deposit, or did they just look active for appearing as sake?" And guys, I have to admit that yes, for now, one of the most let's say controversial person in this case is Greg McCabe, because on the one hand he has a fiduciary duty and he has to act in a favor of existing shareholders, but on the other hand, guys, he stonewalls all the efforts and he keeps silence in this case. On top of that, I want to pay attention to some other comments from Scott. So, Chattown wrote this: "We know who asked to buy $10 million extra shares that FINRA didn't report short. Let's just get a real share count." And Scott answered: "Burda said it, so give it whatever weight you think that should carry. Anson, I thought it was them all along, but Greg McCabe can just open his mouth and clear the air, but he won't, because he's in this up over his nostrils now." Well, guys, I have to admit that yes, I prefer to see some resolutions in Scott Trott case because if he wins this battle, at least we will find out some clarifications from Greg McCabe's side. On top of that, let me quote you this. On July the 6th, Marituri Solitant wrote this: "Look, Scott, yesterday on a Shield Space, you said that removing McCabe via bankruptcy and getting a special master appointed is the best way to go. Why does that sound like it only benefits one side? As a genuine shareholder, I will take my chances elsewhere." And Scott responded: "Because McCabe has done and will do nothing. And the derivatives suit will force him to sign the S1 and get us going, or he will not sign and be forced out by court order. And after 2.5 years, this guy, Carter, thinks the politicians are going to speak out and help. I will take my chances in multiple courts. Apparently more lawsuits have been filed too, and McCabe obviously has hooks into Carter because Carter is spouting the party line as part of the McCabe Protective Association." Guys, well, in this case, I support Scott for 100% because only Greg McCabe can can answer the tricky questions that are still disturbing the MMTLP community. And that is why, guys, through this litigation process or through any other processes, we might have these answers, and these answers will definitely bring us much closer to the resolution. So let me show you another quite interesting conversation, and this time in between the people from the other side, so-called other side of the community. And here is the tweet again from Rob Carter that he wrote 12 hours ago about the offer that is still on the table. And Jeff Davis wrote this: "Bro, they all still own stock in company. If there is a value, management should sell it. No? If MMTLP had never traded, everyone involved before then is unharmed. The rest bought a scam that got hurted. Shit happens." And Ocelot responded: "It is always worth pointing that out, that at least original Torch holders are in the exact same position they would be in if the preferred never traded. The only people that really have anything to complain about are those that bought MMTLP." And yes, this statement is 100% correct, because the people who originally invested in TRCH, they didn't intend to sell any of their shares that they received because of the spin-off, and they intended to receive dividends from their oil and gas assets. And unfortunately, we know that Greg McCabe and John Burda didn't pay for the Orogrande leases, and for some information, they didn't pay I think about 5 years. And if so, guys, they knew that these leases, this property doesn't have any oil. And this means when they sold their shares, part of their shares, they knew that the actions that are happening in the market are illegal. And this is the huge question mark for Greg McCabe and John Burda. So let me quote you further. "It is time road. Who were the market makers that began trading it, and why? Once the market makers made it tradable, that put everybody in the same position, correct? Anyone?" And Aaron Cho answered: "Anyone who owned TRCH through June 2021 actually ended up better off from MMTLP trading. Gave them the option to sell if they wanted to. At worst, they could hold into NBH, which they would have been forced to do anyway if MMTLP never traded. And it's time road. Who made it better off, and who took the trading option away?" Aaron Cho answered: "Anyone who owned the Series A preferred shares were better off by having the option to trade. The trading halt was initiated by FINRA and then confirmed and made permanent by MMAT's actions. It's time wrote, which two market makers made it possible?" And Ocelot responded: "No one knows, and might never know absent future enforcement actions or the current one that provide that information, but doubtful." And it's time asked again: "No one knows," and Ocelot answered at this time a little bit softer: "No one in the public. Obviously, regulators would know, but under the current regulatory framework, they'd never need to disclose that to the public, and in my opinion, they shouldn't have to." Well, guys, yes, we know that there is a lot of actions that are hidden from the broader audience, from the MMTLP community in general. And let me show you the reason why we still don't have the answer from authorities about the share count. Here is the letter that was written by Securities and Exchange Commission on September 29th of 2023. And this is the answer to the FOIA request. Let me quote this. "This letter is in response to your request dated and received in the office on September the 20th of 2023 for access to the aggregated and audited share count of preferred non-tradable dividend MMTLP. We are withholding records that might be responsive to your request under this exemption. This exemption protects from disclosure records compiled for law enforcement purposes, the release of which could reasonably be expected to interfere with enforcement activities." And guys, this means first of all that SEC knows the real share count. And the second bullet point is that the investigation is still ongoing. And guys, when the investigation happens and when it is finished, in my opinion, this FOIA request can be successful, because in this case there is no process of investigation, and this means it cannot be at this exemption anymore. And this means, guys, if SEC, so let me show you my idea in details. Let me explain you. If you file the same exact FOIA request to SEC, and if SEC completed and finished this investigation, this means they have to answer. Otherwise, guys, if this process is still ongoing, this means they will send the same exact answer, and this means we have to wait for some results of this investigation. And I think the results of this investigation will be the decision that should be made by the judge in SEC versus Burda and Polycor's case. So it is just my opinion, but time will tell. And let me show you another quite interesting update. And we have a couple of updates in our 1209 cases. In Peace versus Securities and Exchange Commission, we have two recent filings. It is reply to response to motion, and let me show you these titles in details. So, reply to response to motion filed by John Burda, Gregory McCabe, in regards to motion to dismiss second amended complaint filed by defendant John Burda and Gregory McCabe. The second docket is following. Reply to response to motion filed by Next Breach in regards to motion to dismiss filed by defendant Next Breach Hydrocarbons. So it is the two answers from John Burda, Greg McCabe, and Next Breach Hydrocarbons. So, and let me show you another update, this time in Wilcott versus Securities and Exchange Commission case. Another reply to response to motion that was filed on June the 7th, and the notice. Let me show you some details about these documents. So, notice of supplemental authority by GTS Securities R. Rubinstein in regards to motion to dismiss plaintiff's second amended complaint. And the second document is following. Reply to response to motion filed by GTS Securities in regards to motion to dismiss plaintiff's second amended complaint filed by defendant R. Rubinstein and defendant GTS Securities. So, unfortunately, Contic Wilcott didn't specify the details about these updates. Probably he will do it in foreseeable future, and I will definitely cover this information for you. But for now, I think that's all that I want to provide you. If you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel with notification bell. And see you guys and girls next time. Bye!
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only God